Hello, thank you for joining me for our third video or live in this month's Sips and Shares or Celebratory Sips card classes. This is a card that we're going to make today. It's a bit of a fun one, not quite a fun fold, but or fancy fold, maybe a fun fold, except that this one doesn't do a good job of sliding, so it should slide up, but I don't think it's sticking very well. And I have adjusted the measurements slightly so that this bit is slightly narrower so that it will actually slide properly if you use the measurements in the tutorial, but this one doesn't like sliding so well. Alright, now let's start. We're first going to score our card base. So I have already scored it, but we're going to just go through it anyway. We're scoring at 5 centimeters and 19.9 centimeters. If you're working in inches, that's going to be 2 inches and 7.5 inches. And then we're taking our inside bit, which is that slider bit, and we're going to score that at 1 centimeter or 1/2 inch. And that's all our scoring done. So not a lot of work here, quite easy. And then we're going to just fold both of those scores towards each other. I've got my piece of Daffodil Delight, which I have embossed. Now just be careful when you're embossing it, because this piece is slightly wider than it is long. So just make sure when you're embossing it, you actually want to emboss, if I can turn my embossing folder the right way around, you want to emboss the top of the Daffodil Delight if you do it the other way. So if you do it sort of on the other side, then you're going to have the side embossed. So just be careful that you're actually embossing the right side of that. And then we're going to stick that onto the top of the card. And we're going to stick our piece of DSP onto the bottom flap. I don't know that there's a specific right way and wrong way on this paper, but this one looks like the strawberries need to go up, so I'm putting it that way. Alright, then you're going to do some stamping, and I have already stamped and die cut. So we're going to stamp one of the glasses, an umbrella, the umbrella handle, and I didn't cut that very well, so I have trimmed it that it's a little bit narrow on the edges. I'm not worrying about that top bit because that's going to be hidden anyway. The leaves and the strawberry. Okay. And we're just going to colour those. So I've got my Light Poppy Parade. When I did this card, my Light Poppy Parade looks like the brush end isn't doing so well, but that's okay because I want this to look a little bit like it's floating around in here. I don't want a solid drink, we want a little bit showing through. So when I did this card, it was before I had my strawberry slush markers, so I've stuck with the Poppy Parade that I've used, but you could use strawberry slush instead of the Poppy Parade. And then we're also going to colour our strawberry. I'll just see if this is going to work, otherwise I'll flip to the other side, but I actually prefer the brush side here. And I'm just going to give a little bit of definition around the edge here with the dark Poppy Parade. Poppy Parade for strawberries. I know strawberry slush makes more sense for strawberries, except I did it with the Light Poppy Parade and wondered why I wasn't seeing a difference. Okay, so let's just put a little bit of dark there. And then I'm going to colour my umbrella with light and dark Daffodil Delight. So, yep, once again, not very fancy colouring from me. I didn't colour that one, but we can just colour the tip of the umbrella in the dark Daffodil Delight as well. And then my leaves, I'm going light shaded spruce. And let's just colour the leaves at the top of the strawberry too. And I'm going to add a bit of dark shaded spruce on those leaves just for some definition. Just on some of the veins. There we go. Right, now you're also going to stamp 3 strawberries across the top of your writing panel. And I've coloured those so that you don't need to watch me stamp all of them or colour multiple strawberries. And then what we're going to do is I've cut out 2 of my Everyday Arches dies. Now they keep sliding, so sorry, I keep rearranging them and they keep sliding. This one was dead in the middle, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. So it was the 5th and the 6th smallest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or the 5th and the 6th largest. So whichever way you counted from, it was number 5 and 6 that we were using. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stamp my cheers on the bottom here. Now this arch is turned upside down, so we want it stamped that way. And then I've taken my 2 tiny little sentiments, It's Your Day and Let's Celebrate, and I've put them on a block together. I just have to double check this. Sorry, I have a real scrap piece of paper here, but it feels like one of those dies is at an angle. Okay, yep, they're going to stand fine. If I can try and get them straight. No. Okay, can't even turn it over. Alright, that's fine. I will not stick this down because I have stuffed up the stamping. I will just do another one. I can't even turn it over and stamp on the other side because of the blends bleeding through. That's okay, we're just going to carry on, and before I put this away, I'm just going to stamp them off before I stamp them. That's all our stamping done. Now we can just, I'm going to stick this before I put my bits on, because I think if I tie the ribbon first, then it's going to give me a much better idea of where to position my pieces. So we're going to layer our basic white onto the Secret Sea, and then I'm taking a little bit of ribbon and some glue dots, and we're just going to wrap the ribbon around both pieces of cardstock here. And another glue dot Oops. Now this ribbon does curl a little bit along the edges, but that's okay. It gives it character. Right, now that we know where that is, we can position our bits. So I'm going to stick my stick behind the umbrella, and here's where I said I'm not too worried about that because you're not going to actually see it. Put a bit of glue behind here. Now just be careful on that stick because it is a real narrow little bit of paper and you don't want glue spurting out everywhere. Put our leaf and strawberry at the bottom of the glass. Right, now I'm just going to set this aside for a minute to let that glue dry, and I want to work on the inside of my card. So I'm going to fold this down along that score line, and then I'm going to stick it on here. Okay, so that, let's just open this up again and show you. This one is really, I think that I've yanked this too often, but we want the top of that score line, well, try that again, the edge of this piece of cardstock here along that score line. And in an ideal world, you'll actually have stuck your writing panel on the front there so that it's all going to fold under. But you can get it out, it's just easier if it folds under. So trying to get it aligned equidistant on the side and the edge against the score line. And then we're folding that down, and now what we're going to do is just put a little bit of glue. You can use tear and tape here, but I prefer the liquid glue. Just a thin little line along the edge of the card, and you're going to glue that with that sliding piece underneath it, and I'll just give that a couple of seconds for that glue to dry. But there you can see that's going to slide up and down beautifully as it opens and closes. And then we're going to take our arches, and I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals along the top, and then I want some dimensionals just along the bottom here where it's going to be glued. And then you can decide where you want it to sit, how far up. If I close that one, let me maybe bring that in that it's definitely in camera view. We want it kind of there. And lastly, a bow, which we're going to stick on with another glue dot. And as long as you don't mess up the stamping on your writing panel, that's your card all done. Okay, so the instructions are up, and I hope that you'll make this, have fun making it, and I will be back possibly on Friday, Thursday or Friday, to do the last card for this series. See you then. Bye for now.